All right, welcome. Hello, and welcome to the Mystical Mindset Roundtable today. And we have a new person joining us today. Her name is Sandy. I have known her for about 5 years now, and she has been a real joy and a pleasure to have in my life, and I honor her with much love. And so I would like for you guys to, each of you guys, let's introduce ourselves. Sandy, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself since you're new to our show today?
Okay, thank you. And thanks for inviting me. My name's Sandy Bachman, and I am an energetic healer. I have been healing with what is called soul-directed healing for about 30 years now. And as a result of my own personal journey, my healing specializes in what I call sacred womb medicine. So I am a keeper of the original womb codes, and I work with men and women in the space of the cosmic womb.
Awesome. Welcome. Sherry, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm so mesmerized by what she said. I'm like, wow. It sounds interesting. I'm Sherry Hess. I'm psychic medium, and I do a lot of divination work and healing with energy. And I've been doing it for about 4 or 5 years now.
All right, welcome. And I am Majestic Michelle, and I specialize in the Akashic Records. And the reason why I love the Akashic Records is that you get to learn so much about who you are, why you're here, what you're doing, and why you're doing it. And we get to help release some of those negative emotions without you really having to fully relive everything that happened until the emotion has changed, and then your mind will help you remember so you can work through it and on a different concept of a level. So today, our discussion is going to be on the Ascension. There's been so much talk around this, around the spiritual community, like, oh my gosh, what is Ascension? Why am I feeling like this? Is this part of it? So we're just going to go around. The first question we're going to ask is, everyone, like, in your own definition, what is Ascension? Sherry, why don't you go ahead and start first?
Okay. Ascension is one of those words I have a very hard time explaining, because to me it's something you just have to experience and feel, and once you start it, it's kind of obvious. But for me, Ascension is just getting yourself to that place where you're more cosmic energy is flowing through. For me, it was like my connection to the divine, not just one thing, opened up, and it changed my worldview. It changed everything I ever believed in. It changed how I see people. I just feel like, to me, Ascension felt like recognizing the fact that I am a divine being in a human body instead of the other way around, if that makes sense.
It does. Sandy, what is your definition?
Well, my definition of Ascension is the journey back to self. Ascension is a word that is hot now because everything is ascending. And, there's people that have been working on themselves all of their lives, years and years and years. And that's as much ascension as it is to meditate every day and not know that you're ascending for a global humanitarian effort. So ascension, to me, breaking it down and making it simple, it's your journey. It's your personal responsibility, learning, growth, to get to know who who you are, who's the true self, who's the authentic soul inhabiting, like Sherry said, this human body. Um, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And the ascension process is, for me, it's a sparkly word that means take responsibility for yourself and do your work to find out who you really are.
I totally agree with both of you ladies. For what I tell my clients, and that what it is basically it's the journey back to who you are. So you can find out that you are truly here to love and honor yourself and others. And it's that journey of love that we start to rise our vibrational frequency to bring Mercury is definitely in retrograde to bring us
It
back
is.
to bring us back to who we are and what this planet and everything is supposed to be about. And I like how Sherry kind of touched base, like that feeling of knowing, like ascension too. So I know for me, like that feeling of ascension is that there can be total chaos around us, and I'm just like in this calm place,
Mm-hmm.
not needing to get involved, not needing to deal with it, and just being calm while I walk through the chaos of everything that's going on around us right now. So we do have a few questions that we're going to talk about. And if anyone watching has any questions, please write them in the comments. And so that way we can see them. And then we can go ahead and answer them for you. Okay, so the first question is, does ascension come with physical issues? Sandy, what do you think?
Let's see. So, I guess I would answer that. I'm also an Ayurveda practitioner, and ascension come with physical issues. From an Ayurvedic perspective, as long as you are not in harmony with yourself and nature, irregardless of ascension process upon the earth, as soon as you start to once again shift any of your subtle layers, your physical, your emotional, your mental, your spiritual, there is the possibility of physical um physical disruptions, physical pains, physical ailments. In Ayurveda, we have what's called AMA, and it is waste. It is like it can be fermented food in the digestive system. It could be extra acid in your joints. It could be a number of things in the physical realm. In the emotional realm, ama is emotions that are not tended to, mental or belief systems that don't serve you. Spiritual is that you're not connected. And these are just one example of each of these layers of our subtle body. The spiritual could be that you're not connected to source in some way. So when we have these disruptions in our physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, it can take any form, AMA can take any form to kind of wake you up, to say, hey, there's something going on here. Hey, there's something going on here. And then once again, it's your personal responsibility to address it. And it honestly, if people want to look deeper, it's not just a physical ailment. It's an emotional ailment, it's a mental ailment, and it's a spiritual ailment. So as we continue to talk about this, and as people continue to experience these frequencies of higher resonance, you'll see if you look that you're not only experiencing disruptions at a physical level, but it's also connected into your emotions, mental and spiritual. So I would say yes.
So yeah, what I tell my clients and everything is that, if you're having a physical issue as we're going through this process of you recalling who you are, learning how to love, reconnecting to yourself, which is all about ascension, then sometimes our physical body or our soul needs to go, hey, I want to vibrate higher, but I can't until the body can. And so I'm going to pinpoint and let you know where your issues are at within your physical body so you can address them so we can move up together. Because on this planet, we have a carbon body with a plasma soul. So we need to work together with the two in order for it to ascend at the same level. And so, yeah, the physical issues do come along with ascension, but on this other hand, they are not to be ignored. Because it's our souls, like, we're talking about, like, it's the warning. Hey, something's not right. Because we have been through, as children, had ascended how many years before we even decided that, hey, we have physical issues now? We came into this world at a different vibrational frequency. And so we've been ascending since birth. And if we can do our childhood without those issues, then we can do it through our adulthood without those issues. But yet you have like the emotions that are attached to it. Learning who we are, going back. So all of this stuff has to address if we have the ringing in our ears. Well, physically, that could be a couple different things that we need to address and look at first before we even go, oh, is that spirit trying to contact me? Because some people I've heard, like, oh, ascension, the ringing in the ears must be spirit trying to contact you. And I've never had that ring into my ears when spirit wanted to contact me. They just start talking.
Mm-hmm.
I
have a comment about that.
Yes.
Because I have ringing in my ears. So I can totally, if we have time, when we have time, circle back to that.
Okay. So that's my take on it. Sherry, what's your take on physical elements with ascension?
I think I kind of took it a little differently than a little bit. When I have clients come to me or friends or whatever, they come to me because they're concerned something's way different and it freaks them out. It's not something that they can get a medical book and look up the symptoms very easily. They'll start having very vivid dreams, which is different for them because I'm talking about people that don't really dream very much. All of a sudden they're having these visions and dreams. And so for me, I see people that are in fear and a state of confusion. They're very concerned. They're going crazy. Like it can make you feel that way for some people, especially if you've never been connected to the divine, really. A lot of people, when I sit here and do readings for them, and they've already started that process of ascension, at some point, but they talk about tingles and getting goosebumps and the ringing in the ears. I always told them that ringing in the ears is, you're getting a message of some sort from spirit in the left ear, and then in the right ear, you've downloaded it or received it, I guess. At least that's how it works for me. But like you said, Michelle, it's all different. And also, a lot of people, when they have that ascension, I've noticed that when I'm really having a good week where I'm on point doing my stuff I'm supposed to be doing, there's a little dehydration involved and maybe some insomnia because sometimes the energy is really, really strong.
Yes. So here's
I
another
like
question. It's like
people.
going, when do we ascend? Because people are like going, oh my God, have I arrived yet? Have I arrived yet? Have I arrived yet? And
Are we there
I want to
yet?
say this straight out. I don't think we ever truly arrive, because it is just, we're constantly moving through, growing, learning new things time and time again.
Mm-hmm.
And it's when we stop learning and moving and shaking up our world that the universe is like, okay, you're done. Let's close everything off because you don't want to use them anymore. And we lose access to them. And so if we're constantly growing and learning and experimenting and creating new things in our world, we are always ascending. There is no endpoint to this. So Sherry, what do you think about that one?
I think you nailed a lot of that. I've always believed and told people, for me, I kind of came out of the chute that way. Like I just naturally gravitated towards anything spiritual or religious, the early part of my life. But for me, I had like an after-death experience or two. One in early childhood, one in my early teen years, one in my early 20s. And those gifts just got stronger and stronger. And because I had experiences like after-death experiences, it just kind of stuck with me and got stronger. Quite often people will start this with when some kind of trauma happens, like it's pretty easy to go through life thinking that you're it and you're all you've got until something major happens. I know a major divorce in my life caused me to really stop and reevaluate, because I was so in the physical that I had just completely blocked thinking I was worthy of anything divine coming in. So I don't know. I think sometimes people can just literally have it happen to them, but oftentimes what I see more is the trauma or the close encounters with death, maybe.
Sandy, what do you think about that one?
I agree with both of you. And Sherry, I thank you for sharing that, because thank you for sharing that. I don't really have anything else to add that you two haven't already nailed. I think
All
it's
right.
pretty you did it how I would define it.
All right. Let's talk about, how does our diet play into the ascension process? Sandy, would you like to start with that one there?
So this is you can enter this on so many different levels, I've
Yes.
entered it in my own life on so many different levels. I should say facets. There's so many different facets that spoke to me depending on what I was dealing with at that stage in the journey. I don't think one answer doesn't fit all, didn't fit all. I had a situation back in 2002 that I have my own training and consulting business in Chicago, and was being called out through dreams to go and take a camping trip by myself on the road and show up to a place that I figured out where it was. It wasn't like obvious. It wasn't like I wanted to go. This dream kept coming to me and telling me these caves. And I'll save a long story for another time. But the point being that when I came back from what was supposed to be a 1 month excursion by myself, and it ended up being it was like 8.5 months. I came back and I had a spiritual crisis. I got hit by a spiritual 2x4, I call it, and ended up sleeping 18 to 22 hours a day for 22 months. And so my night, I had no distinction between night and day. The only lifeline I had was a dog that used to lick my hand on the couch, and I knew she had to go out or we had to eat or something. And I was allergic to everything. Everything I was allergic to. And the only thing that I could eat was plain baked chicken, a little bit of rice, and some plain broccoli. And I found that out the hard way. And I had been a vegetarian before that. So we don't have time to tell you, everything that happened along the way. But suffice to say that I have had to change dramatically what I was eating based on what my body was wanting. And diet needs to be organic. If you have the opportunity for locally grown, Dr. Zach Bush talks about your microbiome in your gut, which I totally believe. So there's all of these, I guess it's the response of you listening and honing in on what your body needs, truly honing in, not what your desires are, not what your connection to a desire is. Big difference. So the honing in on what the body needs versus a desire, first of all, and second of all, be willing to change. So what you eat in the summertime is not what you eat this time of year. It's changing. And what you will eat in the winter and what you will eat in the spring. Again, in Ayurveda, I follow Ayurveda, but I also follow what my body needs. So I will have had spans of time where I'm a vegetarian or a vegan, or I need a buffalo burger, or I need XYZ, whatever it is. So what do you eat? One size doesn't fit all. Your diet is as unique as you are, and you have to listen to your body, and you have to just have no judgment about what you want to eat today, what your body wants today, and what your body may want a month from now.
Right. Sherry, what are your thoughts?
I believe that highly processed foods, highly sugared foods, highly refined foods do lower your life force, I guess, or your vibration. It doesn't put you in that in that more divine state, I guess, that you're trying to accomplish, or the connection there. When I noticed I was starting to have this process happen to me, suddenly I wanted to go to work for a health food store here in town. I had no idea, because that was not me. And luckily I met a friend there, and she was able to teach me all about organic and why these things are important. And suddenly that's what my body was craving, I have some friends that are really into the kind of yoga where you really go deeply, and they believe in being vegetarian or vegan. And also, if they aren't, they really believe that you need to be careful about how your meat is processed. There's a lot of, if you just Google it, you'll see how awful these animals are treated before they're slaughtered for the table, So they're very careful with that kind of stuff too. And they also abstain from like alcohol and like recreational drugs. And I know that really, alcohol is one of those things you have to be careful with because it lowers you so much that you're really susceptible for some bad stuff, as well as the physical. So,
right. No, I agree with both of you. And I do like the fact that, Sandy kind of touched in on a little bit of when you're having the food and that stuff, like seasonal foods. Because I was just having this conversation with somebody just this last week. Like here, I'm in Minnesota for right now, about to leave again. But we have a lot of melons that get ripe from the garden in August. And melons have a lot of juice, a lot of water in them. And it's like, when we eat all those melons, we're kind of getting our body ready for that dry winter ahead. And they just kind of look at me like, wow, that's interesting. I go, so if you kind of look at your areas and the foods that ripen within the ground that you plant and why it's that way, it makes sense. And then you go into like your gourds and your squashes and that stuff, which again, you're like going, wintertime, you don't need a lot of food and a lot of energy because you may not be going outside that much, especially in today's world. Who knows? Depends on how active you are. But it's like going, that stuff there stays with you a little bit longer so you can burn it through and helps you maintain that energy level throughout the day. So when we're eating for that area, and again, organic, beef, chicken, everything has to be raised humanely. They need to be happy cows. I usually get my beef that is 100% grass-fed from farmers that I know. And then my chickens are 100% free range. They're not fed on organic grain. Because I would rather have them eating their bugs off the ground that they're supposed to be eating than being kept in a cage confined to only eating those grains just to be organic. Because when that chicken is able to run around and do what they want throughout the day, they're a lot happier than being in a cage and confined.
Right.
And so, again, like even the meats that I eat has to be raised with a higher vibrational frequency. And so, yeah, food is really important, how it really ups our vibrational frequency, or it can bring down our vibrational frequency. I know for me, if there is 2 words in an item that I cannot pronounce or I have to look up in the ingredients, I do not buy it. Because those words that you cannot pronounce or have to look up are usually chemicals. And they should not be in our food.
Yeah.
And so, so there's just having those guidelines to help raise our vibrational frequency. And so, okay, so let's get back to like vivid dreams and ascensions. Just because I know like vivid dreams can come in so many different ways.
Yeah.
I have vivid dreams all the time, but I'm used to them. And I can see how some people, if they have them, may need to shut my blind. There we go. May not be used to them. But in order for us to even have a dream, the chemicals in our bodies have to be working properly. And this is the part where like even just having that proper ascension is going to come into play. Because it's that vibrational frequency and making sure everything is running properly. So in order for us to even dream, we have a crown of thorns around our head, around our brain inside, that is called the clawsome. And they call it the crown of thorns because it looks like the crown of thorns that Jesus had on his head with the spikes, but this year has nerves that are coming out of it. this crown of thorns creates a chemical called the colostrum that has to go down the chimney into our spine. And then it goes down our spine, sits at the tip of our spine until our birth sign is in the moon. And then it has to climb back up the Jacob's 33 ladders. See, our body's even biblical. It needs to cross the vagus nerve, the Moses River, because the vagus nerve has to part in order for this to cross. Then it goes up to the hypothalamus and sits in the tomb of darkness for 2.5 days. At which point it splits off into our pituitary gland and our pineary gland. Pituitary and the pineary. I can never say that word. Glands. It is when that splits that we are able to dream. If we do not create that split, we are not able to dream. So when people tell me again, like they're not dreaming or they're having dreams, that's actually a good thing. Because it means that their body is getting back into running properly to be able to ascend and have those dreams. And, we all know those dreams are just our psyches letting us know what's going to happen, what we need to work through, or what we've been working through. And I know for me, if I remember the dream, there's something there that I need to pay particular attention to. So if I wake up and I know I dreamt, I write it down. But there's sometimes where I wake up and I kind of go, oh, wait a minute. I had a weird dream last night, but I don't know what it is. It wasn't made for me to relook at. It was just like, okay, maybe it's something I worked through and it's done. And I don't have to worry about it anymore. If it comes back again, then maybe you might need to start trying to remember and working through it. Mm-hmm. But our psyche, our conscious mind and subconscious mind are really great at protecting us and only allowing us to know what we need to know. So, Sandy, what do you think about the vivid dreams and ascensions?
Wow. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for that description and the connection from body and spirit. I'm fascinated. I had no idea that it was so beautiful to dream and connect, or not dream.
Right.
So as I mentioned just a little bit earlier about my situation of dreaming 18 to 22 hours a day, these were lucid dreams. So these were dreams that I was actively participating in. Maybe one of you can talk about lucid dreams. I don't really know that much about it, like you just described, Michelle, except that I was active in that dream. It felt like there was no separation between what was happening in those dreams and I had an active role. I realized after months and months of this that I could change an outcome of a dream. But as I was watching these movies and watching this that was happening and participating in it, it was all telling me where I was and what I needed to work on and what I needed to heal from and how I could heal it. And it became like my best friend, because I was actually in a space that I was fully participating in. And yet most people, I mean, to dream 18 to 22 hours a day, it's like I was exhausted even when I woke up from sleeping.
Right.
So, and after those 2 years, it had continued, not 18 to 22, but it was a lot of time was spent dreaming. And when it stopped being that for me, I actually felt like I lost a best friend. It was a very, um, it was an unexpected grief that I felt, um, because it was through the darkness. The dreams, my friend called the dream, took me through my darkness, and um, loved me so much that I was sharing with myself my imbalances, my disharmonies, my karma, my um my wounds. And it wasn't from this lifetime, but it was from other lifetimes.
Wow.
And um and it just didn't stop. It was relentless. And so when it stopped, I felt a loneliness there, um because it was so personal. And so um I was so vulnerable, and I trusted it. I trusted myself, and I trusted what my dreams were sharing with me. And I really got into dreams after that. I joined dream circles. I joined Jungian therapists with dreams. I joined many aspects of dreams. So I really honor what is being sent through dream time. And I think it's a very strong, viable pathway to learn about yourself quickly.
Yeah. So when you're describing that, it almost sounded like as if you were vividly reliving a parallel universe lifetime.
It was this lifetime, and I
Right.
know there were other lifetimes, because what would show up in the dreams were, so for instance, I always, occasionally, I would have a black stallion show up that would appear to be like not breathing, like dead on its side. And when I had that dream, I knew that what was about to come was something that took my soul away. It was something that broke my spirit, of that horse, and of the dark horse, the stallion, the masculine. I mean, I would go in and in and in and in. And then there would be another life that would come in. And the person in this life that broke my spirit would also be, I would be shown how that person broke my spirit in another life.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like a thread that you just pull on ever so gently, and you would just get told more and more and more. So it threaded from this lifetime into into many other lifetimes.
Hey, Sherry, do you want to elaborate more on dreams and ascensions? I know you kind of talked about it earlier.
Yeah. I know a lot of my friends and clients, that when they come to me about this, they'll start having vivid dreams and visions, and we start exploring it, and it's actually past life, or it's part of their life, their soul purpose. And it does, yeah. And pretty much what you guys have said. Lucid dreaming is actually a gift that you can give yourself and teach yourself to do it. And I know I've got friends when they come with me with big life problems. Lucid dreaming is often a tool that I teach them so that they can work through that in a safe space.
Cool.
Cool. So do either of you two have any other questions we want to talk about ascensions today?
So I want to get back to the ringing in the ears.
Okay.
Because I actually have ringing in the ears as a physical condition. And I have what I'll call tones that come through my ears that people may perceive as to be ringing in the ears.
Okay.
So if I can shortcut anybody's questions and journeys, because it took me a while to figure this out, if I can shortcut anybody and help them out along the way, that's definitely what I want to do. Yeah. So I've had ringing in the ears actually it started when I was going through that ascension process or the spiritual awakening or the dark night of the soul, whatever the heck you want to call it. I ended up starting to get ringing in the ears, tinnitus really bad from that experience. I went, one of the things that happened during that time was that I had to, I ended up needing thyroid medicine. My thyroid tanked, my whole endocrine system tanked. Okay. And the ringing in the ears for me, was a byproduct of the endocrine system not working, help me here, like not working at par, where it needs to
at
be
optimal level.
Yes, thank you. And so that was one thing. Then the ringing in the ears, what happens now is I always have a ringing in my right ear. And then if and it's related to my nervous system. Okay? So I know this, and it's related to the vagus nerve. And this is what I've been able to learn about my body. My nervous system is vitiated. It's out of balance. In Ayurveda, we call it vata vitiated, which is one of the doshas. So in most people are at this point in the game, most people have nervous systems that are running at the speed of light, and we're not meant to run at the speed of light. And so our adrenals and other parts of our body are out of balance. And where I feel it is in my left ear. And when I'm really out of balance, or I should say when I'm really vitiated, the right ear will kick in and out. So I know I have to do some things differently. What I eat, my routines, slow down. Most of the time it's slow down. Most of the time it's slow down and get better sleep. And when that happens, then this ringing goes away and this ringing calms. So there's some body, like we were talking about before, there's some things that people really need to get in touch with themselves and their routines, their body, how much they expect to get done in a day. We all got to slow down. Slow down. But the second thing is, I get tones in my ears. We have ear chakras. We have chakras in our ears. Mm-hmm. So someone has to do when you start having questions about ringing in the ears, you have to do some direct observation to discern what is actually happening with your body and with your field. So I then, like, when I started, and it's happening now, when I talk about it and when there's information coming in that's coming through me, one of the ways it comes in is through the tones in in this ear primarily. It will come in, and then I'll hear it over here as well. But it's a whole different, I wouldn't call it ringing in my ears for me in my journey. It's a tone that is different for me than ringing in my ear.
Right.
And it has pitches. So it has a resonance that has different pitches. So the tone, if it's really high, tells me something else. And then if it's right here, and if it's really low, each of those I've learned through the years tells me something. So that is a whole field of observation that I welcome and suggest people tune into and really listen to when they say ringing in the ears. First of all, investigate it for yourself. Is it your nervous system completely out of whack? Or is it actually a tone? And if it's a tone, then go a little deeper and sit with the tone and journal with the term, channel with the tone, get closer to the tone and discern these tones and what they mean to you.
I totally agree with that. And I like how you address the physical issues first before realizing like what was the spiritual part of it and what was the physical part of it. Because I know for me, when I had ringing in the ears, it all started to go away. There's this going to kind of gross you out when I started doing parasite cleanses.
I believe it.
And it was really interesting that the first parasite cleanse I did, I literally had parasites coming out through my ears. Like my pierced, like whole from my pierced ears, they're moving down in there from my ears and into there. And it was after that that all the ringing stopped. And so now I do like get some other stuff that's going on. And I was like, okay, that must be like more of the spirit thing because I've already addressed the physical part of the ringing. And it's just been like, once we address the physical, then we can actually tell like, oh, there is a spiritual part there too, but we need to balance that body off first in order to tell what is spirit and what is an issue that we need to address.
Yeah.
I know some other people have mentioned like with some of their physical ailments have been like headaches. And again, like, you know, you got to address that physical issue first before, because there could be a lot of things going on in the, you know, with your nervous system, your endocrine system, you know, to like throw it all off.
Yeah. Especially now. I think especially now, like, what is the Schumann resonance? I know you ladies are familiar with that.
Yeah.
It's like
the Schumann, yeah.
I mean,
that's the resonance of the earth, right?
Yeah, yeah. We're experiencing right now vibrations that are pushing our physical bodies to digest frequencies that we haven't seen before.
Right. I mean, not even during the longest time period.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We have about 10 minutes left. Does anyone out there have any questions about their own ascension experiences that they would like us to answer? Go ahead and write them in the comments area now, so that way we can go ahead and answer them. And I want to say thank you for everyone who's been joining us today. I am truly honored and appreciate you guys. Let's let you guys write your questions. And if there isn't any, then we're just going to go ahead and say thank you, everyone. We had a beautiful time here.
Yes.
Yay.
Sandy, how can they get a hold of you?
La, 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 la. I have my website is www.sandy Bachman BACHMAN.com, and you can send me an email if you have any questions or yeah, want to talk further.
Sherry, how can they get a hold of you?
They can go to my website, my email, mommahus72@gmail, or you can find me at Spirit Closure with Sherry on Facebook.
And you can go ahead and find me at healingwithmichelleadams.com, Healing with Michelle Adams on Facebook, and the Akashic Record Group on Facebook, or even this group that we are streaming live today on Facebook with a mystical mindset. So you guys, thank you for joining us today. It's been a great pleasure. Hope you guys got some great information. We will talk to you guys real soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. Thanks, Sherry.
Thanks.